And then I also have a mystery build in the making involving these two mysterious components. A diff and a chassis, but a chassis with a line on it. What can this mean? Stay tuned on my channel. Alright, here's a really quick update of my mystery build. As you can see, I've made a little bit of progress. Got the rear section done. Has some DAT shocks that I got secondhand for 10 bucks. And you can see I sawed the chassis in half and I shortened it like this by doubling it up, and I put 4 screws through it. There'll be more screws. You can see I countersunk them on this side to make them sit nice and flush. So this creates a very short wheelbase, and I have the EB4 buggy arms on it, so it should also be narrower. So basically it will be a 1/10 scale. So the front diff installed, that has an RC 8.2 differential in it, which is actually exactly the same one as the MT4, and that fits perfectly. And this is a dog bone out of my Mad Force, which seems to be the right length. Alright, I'll report on the rest of my progress once I make it. Alright, here's another quick update on my mini MT4 1/10 scale. I got the suspension all done. As you can see, these are the MT4 rear shocks that seem to work with the ST4 front shock tower that I have on here. One problem that I had was that these upper suspension blocks were too long, and they were causing the upper A-arm to bind with this shock because it would sit too far front. So I dremeled them out, and this side is fine, but this side I've dremeled out too far, and now it pops out. See, like that. So there's a couple of fixes that I'll attempt. Try and put something in that little thing to make sure the hinge pin extends further inward. But the final fix will just be the blocks from the EB4 suspension, upper suspension blocks. Those will fix that. It does bottom out before the shocks do, but barely, so that's a bit of a concern, but I guess we'll see about that in testing. It's starting to look kind of nice. What I still need to do is put a plastic spur gear on here, create something for the batteries, hook up the motor, the ESC still needs soldering, put another screw through here, and make a chassis brace. And there's a couple of options that I have for that. And then I should be ready for testing. Well, and of course, I need bumpers also. Probably go with T-bone in the end. Alright, I have the deck made, the upper deck. It's made out of one strip of aluminum, and the rest is all Lexan, as you can see. It's about 6 millimeters thick. I put some Gorilla tape on it to make it look at least somewhat decent. It's definitely sturdy, actually. I thought it would be more bendy, so I think it actually will function as a chassis brace as well, not just somewhere to put my batteries. And I also finally managed to get the stripped out screw out. That's all that is left of it. I had to Dremel out my entire chassis almost, but no real significant damage. The screw still catches on the plastic anyway, not really on the metal underneath. So I don't foresee any problems there. Alright, another bit of an update, made a little bit more progress. I have some closed 17mm hex nuts from Hobby King. One of them was faulty, but I have 3 installed. This is the body that I'm going to be running, which I reinforced with some fiber tape. Still need to add the soft glue, or forget the name. Whatever. Anyway, I installed the innovative RC aluminum diff cup because the diff that I had in there was leaking, and this one does not. Got the motor installed, pinion installed, front drive shaft installed, so it's a definite roller now. I got the upper suspension blocks from the EB4 in, and I installed them. Needed some washers up here to make this work, but the suspension's nice. and the shocks have a little bit more space to move in now. I also encountered a problem though, because I use longer screws than usual to mount the motor mount with, and I used blue thread lock. Because the screws were so long, it had a lot of grip, and I stripped out this screw, and I've tried everything, and I have not been able to remove it. I used my screw, I don't know, screw out or something, screw saver thingy, and it worked on the one but not on the other. Try to glue a nut to it, try to make a seam in it to be able to use a flathead, didn't work either. So I don't know, maybe I'm going to try and Dremel it out now. That's a bit of a pain, but oh well. Other than that, I've gotten started on working on the deck, and then yeah, I just need to do some more battery tray options, get those finished, and get the ESC soldered up. I'm still waiting on the servo mounts. Alright. Alright, I have the T-bone bumpers mounted, as you can see. And actually I ended up mounting the rear EB4 bumper in the front, and the front one in the rear, and that's because with the front one, the wheels don't clear. So I would have to cut it down to basically the same length as the rear. So I figured I'd just swap them out. Because in the rear, that obviously, the extra width obviously doesn't give any problems. The only problems that I've observed is that this sticks out a little bit. So see if that gives me any problems, otherwise to come up with a different solution. I have all the parts in now. This is going to be the battery tray. I need to mount up the Lexan where I'm going to attach this to. These are the servo mounts, which are from the Basher rally car, which I'll be mounting right here. And I have a very short little turnbuckle that'll connect to the servo that I'll mount more up front then. And then I need to solder up the ESC. I have the right plugs to mount the receiver, the servo, and then we're good to go. First test run. Pretty much finished. So I added the battery tray. It's completely finished. It's locked down. See, I have 3 straps, so that's nicely secured. It's held to the chassis with these 3 screws. Hopefully that'll be enough. I added a chassis brace underneath, as you can see. That's a turnbuckle I got from Hobby King. Should make the rear plenty sturdy. I was going to add one to the front, but it was really annoying to get it in there. And I think the top deck has a lot of stiffness already, so I'm not expecting problems there. I had to swap the bell crank and the servo saver around, so it's on the other side now, and that actually worked perfectly, no problems there. And then while we're on this side, I mounted the servo mounts, so I had to drill 4 holes. I measured them multiple times, but I still got it wrong, so as you can see I had to kind of elongate these screws, and it's still not perfect, so it's very annoying, but it seems to work good enough. Maybe I'll have to elongate them a little bit more. And this mess up here is the ESC mounted, and the capacitors and the receiver. Doesn't look very neat, but it's pretty sturdy with all the zip ties. They're up nice and high, so that should add some waterproofing, I suppose. And then of course my second battery is on the top deck. I added some anti-vibration foam from Hobby King, and as you can see I also have 3 straps up here. I'm a bit worried that it's gonna twist off, or it's gonna twist off the upper deck, or it's gonna slide back and forth. I have a stop here, but it can go over that. It can slide back against the shock tower. But I guess we'll see. I secured the deck with a zip tie to the center diff mount, so hopefully that'll be better. And then I added, I think I already covered this, but I added T-bone bumpers. So in principle, it's ready for its first test run. Only problem is that this ESC, this Sky Toro ESC, is not working properly. It doesn't have reverse, and it can't properly power my servo, so the BEC is too weak. which is ridiculous, I guess, because this is just a standard size servo. So I'm gonna contact the manufacturer, and in the meantime I've ordered a BEC, a proper one that I'll add, and then at least I'll be able to drive. So I'm very curious to figure out how to find out how this thing drives. One thing that I know is that it's extremely heavy. It's about 10 pounds, 5 kilos, which for a 10 scale size RC is a ton. So we'll see how that works out. So this is what it looks like with the body on. Still looks pretty good to me. Can't wait to drive it. You can see the battery tray sticks out from underneath a little bit. I was contemplating just putting both batteries in here. I may still do that if the top deck doesn't work.